Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sara.
And I'm Amy.
Amy, show off your shirt that you just showed me, please. It's international break, everybody. That's right. We're talking all things international break. Particularly, of course, it has to be the U.S. Women's National Team, which I am not sporting right now, but in my heart, I always am. And England Lionesses, both of which had a win in their first international game. And we're going to talk about it all. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. But right before we do, before we talk international, I need to spend a moment, because I don't even know if you're watching this, Amy. I'm going to tell everybody that they have to go watch this. Women's NCAA soccer is in the semifinals, going into the semifinals. They call it the College Cup, so it's like the Final Four. And if you're English, think of like a huge FA Cup, but for collegiate teams in the United States. That's kind of the easiest way to describe it. Obviously, it's more intricate than that, but just think of it like that. Or I guess not English. If you're not American, if you're not from the U.S. and you're listening, think of it like that. Anyways, the semifinals will be on December 5th. It's Stanford against Duke, Florida State against TCU. I think that the Stanford-Duke game is going to be one of the more incredible collegiate matches we've ever seen. So watch it, and then the final is on the 8th. Just had to give that a shout out because it's women's soccer that's happening. It's not professional, but it's still fun. All right, we're going to kick it off with the U.S. Women's National Team, who took on Italy for match 1 of 2 versus Italy on Friday. The second match will be Monday. So that's Monday of past when you're listening to this, but we don't know what's happened fully at the time of recording. So we are specifically going to focus on the first U.S. versus Italy game and kind of like the U.S. Women's National Team at large. But first match was in Florida. U.S. took it 3-0 over Italy. It was 1-0 at halftime, and then a brace for Caterina Macario in the second half makes it 3-0 U.S. Women's National Team over Italy. I feel like the theme that I want to talk about for both of these teams is we are less than 2 years away from the World Cup now. What are the biggest weak spots or undecided spots right now? We can start there, or we can get into that as we go along. But what were your thoughts on this game generally?
I thought that there were a lot of positives for the US, particularly, I think, in the second half. I thought the first half there was some chances for Italy. I'll say that. There was a couple of really good chances for Italy to equalise, actually, and maybe it would have been a different game if they had equalised. But I think that their positive starts in games is really good for them moving forward. Scoring early, Moultrie again. She seems to really be thriving under Emma Hayes, which is nice. She's 20 years old, a young talent, and I think she's exciting and something to look forward to for the future, as is pretty much the whole of that midfield. I would say Moultrie being more of an attacking-minded midfielder, and you've got Coffey in there and Hutton. Again, somebody who Emma Hayes seems to be really loving right now is Claire Hutton.
I love Claire Hutton too. I think, speaking of starting early, I think Emma Hayes, coming off of the last international break, the first game against Portugal, the U.S. lost, and they started poorly. They started the game poorly. They started the break poorly. And I really do think that coming into Friday, Emma Hayes was like, this is going to be the opposite of that. We're going to put kind of like our best 11 available. Maybe I'll say best 10, because I think that they knew what kind of rotation they wanted the goalkeepers in, because that it kind of exists in and of itself out there to start this game strong, to start us off on the right foot. And I really do think that, and I say best 10 available because obviously Sophia Wilson's not available right now. Mallory Swanson's not available right now. Trinity Rodman's not available right now. But I think that was a big window into where Emma Hayes thinks everybody is, and she does value Claire Hutton highly. And I completely agree. I think rightfully so. And you look at the midfield three, it was kind of like a 4-3-3. You could call it a 4-2-3-1, but it was a 4-3-3. And it was Coffey in the 6, Hutton in the 8, Lavelle in the 10. And I thought they played together beautifully.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think going forward, they looked dangerous when they had opportunities, especially, I would say more so in the second half. I thought they were way more cohesive in the second half than they were in the first. I mean, in the first half, they started off really well. I'm not saying that they didn't. But Italy gradually grew into the game more once they got more possession, and they kind of played through the US a little at times. And I thought that there was a chance for Linari
When is there not a chance for Linari, though?
She should have scored there, though. Like, that was, what, 3 yards out? I mean, that's a defensive center defender's finish right over the bar there. But and then I think it was Bakari who also outpaced Gurma, which you don't see very frequently. Yeah, ever. And she got back. I mean, Gurma got back in the end and made a challenge, but there are those weak spots. I think the positives at the back for the US are finding Real as a left-sided defender, because you've been so weak in that area. Just putting players back there who don't seem to be fitting in that spot or have longevity in that spot. And I think she's somebody who can really own that position and take it. She had a great season with Gotham. Was she rookie of the year, I think, in the NWSL? Yeah. And then you've got Fox on the other side. And I think this back four is a good back four. I think Sonnet deserves to be in there as well.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, I think that this is the first time we've seen a back four that we were looking at and thinking, oh, this very well could be a starting back four in 2027, barring something weird happening like this. And they've got a lot of time to gel, which is the beautiful thing. Like, we found it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, we had this debate a little bit on the podcast 2 weeks ago when I came on, but it was edited out. We had a lot of debate about this, but it was edited out, so hopefully this stuff doesn't get edited out this week. I hope so. But we did have a debate about who the number one choice goalkeeper was for the US, and I don't mind Claudia Dickey, but I still think that Thomas Joyce is the number one goalkeeper for the long term, and I hope that she is I mean, again, she didn't get selected because I think that United kept her because of her injury, and I don't think that they were going to risk sending her to international games at this point. So I would say the only thing is the sticking point there for me would be the goalkeeper, and if Dickey is the first choice or not. She seems to be Emma Hayes' first choice right now, but I don't know if that's a solid first choice.
It's very clear to me Fallon Tillis-Joyce has had the best year in the WSL, the best year previously as well, you could argue, last year. Maybe barring Hannah Hampton, but maybe WSL-wise, you could make the argument for it, for sure. However, Dickey has been the best goalkeeper in the NWSL. So I do think it's more of a battle between the two. I do think Emma Hayes really values feet and distribution. So maybe maybe that might be more of a factor than others. I'm not saying Fallon Tillis-Joyce doesn't have that, but we have seen her be a little shaky at the back with the US Women's National Team. But that might be the last thing. I could see that being the last thing to come into place for the US Women's National Team. And rightfully so. Like, we want everybody to have caps and feel comfortable. We don't want a bunch of goalkeepers with no caps and then like one goalkeeper with some caps and ready. I think we're going to see both of them kind of vying for time for the next year.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair statement. They're both young goalkeepers as well. So I think they've got whoever claims this spot has a long time to keep it.
Which is scary for the other.
It is. I mean, we saw with Hope Solo, she had a long career in goal, and then same with Alyssa Nair. She had a long career as a number one choice goalkeeper, and whoever comes in next, it's theirs to have really for a long time, because these keepers are young, and we have to say that they are going to make mistakes at times because they are young. But the way that football is played these days, with the goalkeeper essentially being the 11th field player, right? They're not just a goalkeeper anymore. They're supposed to play out of the back, and I think within the first couple of 10 minutes of this game, Claudia Dickey cleared the ball, and it was definitely unconvincing. But that's going to happen. She's young, and she's not always going to be perfect. So. Yeah, I'm interested to see what the next couple of years holds for the goalkeeper position and this back four, if they can keep this consistent back four and not mess around too much around it. I think it's a good back four.
If they can stay healthy, if they can gel, all of that. Yeah. I guess that just leads us on to this question that I kind of want to ask about both the US and England before we get into the conversation that we had previously, which was the biggest weak spots or undecided spots right now, because it's December, so a year and a half from now, it'll be World Cup time. Definitely goalkeeper for the US Women's National Team. Is there anything else that stands out, or is that kind of seemingly, because now we've found a left back,
What you found one left back. What happens if she gets injured? I feel like
She's young. She's young.
I feel like you need some.
Bring in Crystal Dunn.
Yeah, bring back Crystal Dunn as left back, right? I mean, that's definitely a solution. I think you need a little bit of coverage at the back there. There's a little. I mean, would you bring in Nyswanger? Probably not.
Well, not. Yeah, I was going to say not based on the 0 minutes she's been getting basically with Arsenal. You can't.
So that's another left-sided player who, you would say, well, she could fill a hole, but like I don't think that because she's not playing football. So if someone gets hurt in that like back four, it's not obvious to me who's going to step in.
All right. I guess without further ado, I want everybody to hear the conversation we had, not to hype it up too much, but it was really fun. The U.S. women's national team is taking on Italy on Monday again. That's 2 days ago. I think that we're going to see a wildly different lineup. I always love to do predictions when people can listen and hear how right or wrong we were, but that seems to be the trend for Emma Hayes right now. And definitely going to see Mandy McGlynn in goal at the very least.
Do you think that Kat Macario is your starting centre forward now?
I think so. For a couple reasons. Number one, we know Emma Hayes has a soft spot for her, and I think Emma Hayes knows her as a player from coaching her at Chelsea in a way that is really beneficial to Catarina Macario, because I think Emma Hayes really believes in Catarina Macario. When Sophia Wilson and Mal Swanson get back, like that much I don't know, because Emma Hayes really did seem to love Sophia Wilson at that number 9 position. Like really, really loved her at that position. But I don't know, she's just as good at the wing, and Catarina Macario is much better in the middle of the field than she is on the outside. So perhaps it's a Catarina Macario 9 and then like a Swanson Wilson wing, and we can unfortunately say goodbye to triple espresso. I don't know, but I do think things get a lot more difficult. At the very least, I think Catarina Macario is vying for that spot. Is it hers? No, but is she in contention for it? For sure. I think it's interesting that they like her more at the 9 than in the midfield, because she really is kind of like a true 10, but she plays well. She's kind of more like a false 9, and I like it.
Yeah, I thought she had a good game, and I thought that she worked well with the other 3 attackers, which sometimes you can throw all these superstars in there and they just don't work. They don't work together. They don't play well. I think that it was a shame that Shaw didn't start. I think
that might have been minutes and like load based though, coming from the final.
Perhaps, but you've still got Emily Sonnet who started the game. And you've still got Rose Lavelle who started the game. So I think that if you're Shaw, you're probably disappointed and not to start because you've been outstanding. And I'm not taking anything away from Melissa Thompson at all, but I don't know. I just thought she maybe deserved the opportunity to start that game. Someone purely biased from a Gotham standpoint, but
yeah, but Alyssa Thompson started in the wing position, and I think Jaden Shaw is much better in the middle of the field. So the way I saw it was that like Rose Lavelle and Catarina Macario started over Jaden Shaw, which I found to be fair.
Okay. I mean, I would have probably, I might have started her over Thompson and had more of a free flowing attack because Lavelle and Shaw play together at club level and they play together really well.
Alyssa Thompson played great, and she seemed to be also just like she gels a little differently, I think, with the rest of the team. She plays a little bit more in a great way out on the wing on her own, and which she should. With that speed, she should be out touching the sideline and taking on players 1v1, but it just is a different element. The attack's looking great. The attack's looking like there's a lot of people who can come off the bench and make an impact, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's exciting. What about Italy? We're going to touch on them for a second.
We can talk about it. We have to. We must. Not to be harsh, unimpressed. I was hoping for more of a battle, and we know Italy is a team that can sit in a low block, that can sit in a 5-back and counterattack, and but I mean they basically never even tried to have possession of the ball. Their entire game plan was a counterattack based game plan, and I just don't love that. This is a team that made it to the semifinals of the Euros, and yeah, we can look at the teams that they beat. Like, okay, you beat Norway to get to the semifinal, but they still came in second in their group behind Spain, beat Norway. They almost beat England. Like, they were up 1-0 on England for a very long time in that semifinal. And I kind of just expected more. So it's felt like a bit of a drop-off for me in terms of Italy's play.
I thought that there were I think that's Italy's game, though. I think that they rely on the counter-attack, and I think they had chances. If they'd taken their chances, it might have been a different story. Like the clear-cut chance from Linari, 3 yards out, that's a goal. Okay, then then Italy probably sits back again and doesn't really try and come out, and they're like, okay, we'll break us down. And then we go on the counter-attack, and it's like more of a chess game. Then they have to come out and attack at some point if they're losing, right? They can't just sit back for the whole time. And then I thought that the Bakari chance where she was through on goal, she should have done better. She should have cut across Germa. If you cut across her, you give her no option, but she didn't do that. So yeah, I mean, there were periods in the first half where they looked decent. I wouldn't say they were world beaters, but they looked decent. And then the second half, totally. I think they switched to 2 up front, and it was like it didn't work. It just didn't work. Whatever they didn't work, and I thought the US grew more and more into the game in the second half. And yeah, I mean, also these players, I'm not making any excuses for them, but they're coming over from Europe. They're in the middle of their season. It's a long flight. It's maybe they'll show up better in the second game where they're more settled in. Who knows? But I'm hoping for a better second game. I mean, Giorelli didn't start. She's the talisman.
Yeah, she's everything for them. I would say they were decent, but they didn't feel dangerous at all to me. They forced Dickey into 2 saves the entire 90 minutes, and you have to do better than that. Even if you're playing a counterattack style, you just have to do better than that. So, yeah, I think that they will come out differently. I certainly hope so. Maybe in another episode, we'll get to dig into Italy and what their next year and a half will hold and what we're expecting from them, because it's a team that's been on the rise, but they seem to be kind of stagnant right now, and they need something else because they're still in the mode of relying on a little too much of individual talent. That's all.
I think maybe also we're probably reading into this a little bit too much. This is an international friendly for them. At the end of the day, it's not. They're preparing for their World Cup qualifying campaign as well. So there's a lot of things that he's probably looking at as to what the best team is for them. Giorelli's not getting any younger, so they're going to need to find some sort of other plan going forward. And I think he's just doing the same thing that Emma Hayes is trying to figure out what his best options are for his group, for his qualifying group mainly. I don't think they really care too much about this fixture, but it is a good test for them, obviously.
All right, without further ado, let's jump into it. This is the segment from a couple of weeks ago. I don't even remember what you're talking about, but Amy just set us off on the most beautiful tangent, asking me a question about the U.S. women's national team, and it just went off from there. So let's drop it in right here.
I don't fancy Trinity Rodman that much as a football player.
Why not? This is a very hot take, I feel like. She's maybe the most coveted free agent in the world right now.
Well, she is, and there's a lot of talk about her going to the WSL because they can't. The NWSL can't with their wage structure. Yeah, they can't afford her salary, which she would. So there's 3 teams in England who are looking at her, and you can imagine who those 3 teams probably are. The 3 teams who've got all the money. I mean, Chelsea has to be there, surely. And then probably, I would say Arsenal, because Beth Mead's not getting any younger. And
yeah, I mean, what, you don't think United would shell out for her? You were thinking City?
A team that's got more money is Manchester City.
It's not like United doesn't have money, though. It's just a matter of if they'll give it to the women.
Right. There's a priority is not the women, which we've already heard countless times. So would Man United take her? Sure they would. Maybe she'd make me eat my words and I'd have to, kind of get on board the Trinity Rodman bandwagon. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about Trinity Rodman in finals or like big games where I just don't. Something about the occasion takes over her, and it doesn't seem like she plays football. It seems like she gets this like overwhelming sensation, like she has to prove something, or she has to be physical, or she has to get into an altercation, or it doesn't have to be any of those things. You just have to go play football. Yes.
She plays the occasion and not the game. And we also have to remember that she's still so young. Like she didn't go to college, right? So Trinity Rodman, I want to say she's 23. Let me check. She's 23 years old. They'll give her a little bit of grace for that, for sure. I agree with what you're saying in terms of big moments. It seems like based on the minutes she got in the semifinal, there's like 0 chance she's going to start. So when you think about it that way, if it's Trinity Rodman coming off the bench, it just has fresh legs. Do you like it more there? Or are you still like,
Yeah, well, I think that changes the dynamic of what she's trying to do when she's coming on versus when she's starting a game, because then you feel less pressure to be like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm starting, I'm doing this for 90 minutes probably, because, she probably will. And then maybe more if it goes to extra time. But I think there's less pressure coming off the bench. She can play more freely coming off the bench. There's always going to be expectations around her, just for the type of player that she is, where she can be electric and excite people and get people off their seats. And yeah, you're right, she still is young. And I think that part of that is maturing as a football player and having the right people around you to mature as a football player. I think that she has the right person around her at the international level in Emma Hayes, because she'll mature real quickly under Emma Hayes, I'm pretty sure. And if she does end up going and playing abroad, which she probably will do at this point, which again it makes me question the league. It makes me really question NWSL. What are you trying to do here? Are you still just... But are you a feeder club for the NCAA? Like, you're just NCAA, you get these NCAA players, you make them really good, and then they go to Europe and become really good football players.
I mean, that's my fear. That's like what it's turning into. That's the fear for sure. And obviously the salary cap structure is put in place because there's no draft anymore. So if there's no way to make things equal, and there's no salary cap, there's no draft, then the one thing that everybody feels like the NWSL has going for them, which is the fact that it's competitive top to bottom, which it is, but anybody still can beat anybody. It's more competitive top to bottom than the WSL. That's for sure. But I think the fear is that taking the salary cap away means that they will lose that one element of it. Whether that's right, whether that's wrong, I don't know. More and more, I think the signs point to it's time to eliminate the salary cap, or maybe let's do something like the MLS does, like a David Beckham rule, where you can designate this many players that are outside of the salary cap and you can pay them whatever the hell you want. And then that's a great way to still bring big talent into the league. I don't really love the David Beckham rule, because then you end up basically with the MLS with, again, a bunch of retirees like Messi coming over and just getting a bunch of money to play here. So at the end of the day, I personally think that the best thing for the league is to just open it up and see what happens. No salary cap, no draft. Let's find out. But you're right. They're losing everybody. It's becoming a feeder league. And it's because people can get paid more overseas. That wasn't an issue 5 years ago because there was no money to be had overseas. Now there is.
Well, I also think that, like, with the NCAA men's side of things, it's not anywhere near as strong as the academy side in England or Germany or Italy or Spain or any of those countries, right? So you're not looking at players coming out of the NCAA and going into the MLS as much as you are looking at players who are in the women's NCAA. They're going to be going into the NWSL and abroad probably too, because the NCAA is great. It's great. The college level is great. It has been for a long time. Now European clubs are finally investing in their academies for women. So you're seeing that there's that shift now where the European clubs are obviously kind of taken over, I would say. I think that they're the powerhouses in the world now. You can argue with me if you want, but I think Spain is the best team in the world.
I can't anymore. I feel like 2 years ago we would have had this argument, and I can't anymore. A lot has changed, and I hate to say it, but I do think that the best clubs in the world right now are in Europe.
But you also don't have any meaningful competition outside of the NWSL to go towards. So you win your league, then what? You go and play these crappy CONCACAF, like no one cares about. You batter teams in Mexico 10-0 and then you come home and it's like a midweek trip and no one gives a crap, right? Whereas in Europe, you go to the Champions League and the Champions League is huge, and this is a big competition now, the Women's Champions League, and everyone wants to be part of it for valid reasons.
I mean, that's the downside of not being linked to the men's structure in this part of the world. Is like the upside of in the European part of the world is that everybody already respects the Champions League. The Women's Champions League barely had any viewers for a very long time, and it does now, but it was always respected. Like, Ali Krieger went abroad to go play in a Champions League in like 2011, when I'm not sure you could even watch that on TV, let alone like for free on YouTube or whatever. You definitely couldn't watch it on TV, maybe for free on YouTube, but probably not at all anywhere. Yeah. And it's the pedigree. So I do feel like the U.S. is behind in that way because there's no element that can make up for that. The element that used to really attract people to play in the United States was the lure of the U.S. women's national team and the fact that the U.S. was the center of women's soccer. It was the best place to develop as a women's soccer player. There were the most resources, and that's no longer the case. So how can you create something that makes people want to come here now? Unfortunately, the whole game has gone just in the same direction of the men, in my opinion, and it's money. Money talks. People are going to Saudi Arabia. Women are going to play soccer in Saudi Arabia. What is the only answer for that? Money.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one, do you feel like a type of, not nostalgia, I would say, but like more of a sadness when you look back and you think about how dominant that US national team era was, and now you're not I'm not trying to rub it in, but like I'm saying, that must be genuinely sad, because like as a Manchester United fan at the men's level, my sadness is like, yeah, it's there because I've watched my team be dominant for so long, and like now I'm like, will we ever get that back? I don't know, maybe, but not to that dominant level ever again. And so as good as Emma Hayes is, I don't think it's ever going to be there again. And then
I don't get sadness about that. Like about the winning. I mean, the winning was fun, and it is fun. And don't get me wrong on that, but I will enjoy watching the women win one World Cup in the next 12 years just as much as I enjoyed watching them win in 2015 and 2019 back to back. Like it's always going to be fun. I don't think it's that out of a take. I feel like what I miss is like the pedigree that people used to associate the U.S. women's national team with, that I feel like got lost. And like there's an aura that the U.S. women's national team used to have when people played them, and it was over before it started. You could walk in and try to play the U.S. women's down. You've got a great game plan. You think you could take them down, but you weren't going to beat the U.S. women's national team because they were going to beat you before the game even started, because the aura was just that big around them. That I miss, like, and I will forever miss, I think, because I don't think any team... I think teams can have that. I think in a way Spain kind of had that for a moment. Barcelona certainly has that, but it'll just be more fleeting, I think, in the women's game. So maybe teams can get that back, but not in the same way. Like that was decades of just like, you can't do anything to us.
you also had like a lot of marquee players, and I don't feel like you have marquee players. Like I don't see a lot of kids walking around with like names on the back of their shirts in the same way that we used to see that for the national team. Like I had a Mia Hamm shirt, for Christ's sake. Like I loved Mia Hamm. I still love Mia Hamm. Absolute legend.
Old poster is still up in my parents' house.
As it should be. Should stay there forever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I just feel like there's a little bit of that also. Like there's no real players to like hang your hat on and love as much as you loved those other players before.
That's more of like a marketability type thing, though. But I get what you mean. I feel like there's like, we talked about the sadness. For the record, I love that we have descended into talking about the U.S. women's national team, and I'm not the one who brought it up. I do think that, what was I going to say? I was saying it was a marketability thing. Oh yeah, I do think that there's a sadness to the wave of players that just retired that we all had. And I was trying to figure out like why. And the only thing I got to was, well, we've watched them play for the last probably 15 years. And for us, that was like all of our 20s, probably some of our teens, all of our 20s. And that's like very formative. So that's probably why we're so sad about it. I assumed that the younger generation would feel the way we felt about that generation. I would assume that the younger generation now feels that way about these current players. But I think you're right. Like And maybe that'll change when a major tournament happens. This has been a huge revamp. It's hard in friendlies when the whole world isn't watching, their whole country isn't watching, really just like us crazed soccer fans are watching. Maybe in the next World Cup, there will be some standouts and there will become some marquee players.
I think you'll play more high-profile games. Why aren't you playing high-profile friendlies? Like, what is
I
this
agree.
nonsense?
Probably just the travel.
Friendlies? I don't even care about the travel. Like, come on, man. Like, that's nonsense. Like, England has played Brazil and Australia in their last 2 games. Like, okay, England didn't travel, but they played 2 really good teams. And, like, we got battered by Brazil, rightly. We weren't good. They were really good. And they were really good with 10 players, too, which was crazy. But, like, you aren't playing good teams. You're playing friggin' Portugal, for God's sake. I mean, they beat you once, but whatever. But I don't know how they beat you, but they did, which is even more crazy. But like, I feel like just play real teams, and you'll get more of a draw to the stadium too, because other people want to come and watch the other team play too.
I think you're right about all of it, honestly.
Oh wow, thanks.
Yeah, no, yeah, well, yeah. There's not marquee players right now. I mean, Lindsey Horan is kind of like the marquee player. But we can understand why that hasn't like popped off, maybe like Mia Hamm or something like that.
Well, I think everyone keeps on banging about Lily Johannes. So,
well, you know who should be the marquee player, but she's been injured. Is Naomi Girma. That's the marquee player. Period. The end. And I know it's easier when it's like a forward who scores all the goals and gets all the glory. But in the same way that people love Becky Sauerbrunn, that's the category that Naomi Girma is in and will continue to be in. Like, she's just can do no wrong.
Okay, one more question before we leave this topic of the US national team, because this is a hot topic for me.
Mike, you can't cut out any of this US women's national team stuff. We have to keep the whole thing in.
Who's the number 1 goalkeeper for the US, in your opinion? Don't break my heart. Don't make the wrong choice here, because you know the right choice.
You want me to say Fallon, it sounds like.
Of course. Just WSL goalkeeper of the year. What are we talking about here?
I'm trying to think. Well, who even got called up into the last camp? I mean, Fallon didn't really get an opportunity. She hasn't gotten her opportunity. If I go based on, I mean, Claudia Dickey has had the best season in the NWSL, in my opinion. She would be my vote for NWSL goalkeeper of the year. I think Fallon, of course, has had some of the best seasons in the WSL last year and this year. So it would be between the two of them. I haven't seen enough of either of them in a national team jersey to decide. I'd probably pick Fallon right now. But that's not based on US Women's national team play. That's just based on club play.
Yeah, I mean, as you should. She's come in and filled Mary Earps' shoes, and it's not even been noticeable.
How do you feel as a Man United fan? Mary Earps and PSG just came into Manchester, and it was the Merps' return to Old Trafford, and PSG got slaughtered, right? Am I remembering this correctly? 2-1. Okay, 2-1. But still, Mary Earps comes back. Thoughts on the Earps return?
Well, she came into a shitstorm, for a lack of a better word, because of the way she released her book and what she said about Hannah Hampton. This is why I'm even asking
you. Yeah.
You must have talked about this. Yeah,
we've talked about it greatly. Are you not caught up on a week-to-week basis on the podcast,
Sorry.
Amy?
Might have missed that one. Yeah, I mean, she walked into it off the back of that, and there's a lot of players who have talked about what Mary Earps said, what she shouldn't have said. She said it. She shouldn't have said it. I don't think she should have said it. She should have kept it behind closed doors. You don't talk about somebody. It just makes you look like sour grapes when you talk about somebody else who's won a European trophy now with England and was probably the standout player for England the whole tournament. I don't think you should really do that. But I still love Mary Earps. I still stick by her. I think she's having a moment. And she's having a moment, and she's had a moment. She's retired from international football. She retired, I think, off the back of whatever was said, whatever she's talked to Serena about. She wasn't happy. She had to have obviously voiced her opinions on that with the meeting with Serena. And it's sad because, like, Mary did miss out on another European medal because she would have been in that squad. There's no doubt. Maybe she's a second or a third.
Do you agree, though, that her ego just couldn't handle being second or third?
Yeah. I think if you're a European champ, you've won a European Championship with England, you've gone to a World Cup, you've saved a penalty in the World Cup final, you're not going to be somebody who wants to sit on the bench. And I agree, like, to a certain extent, but also What happens if Hannah Hampton gets injured? Who are you looking at? Kiara Keaton? You're looking at Anna Morehouse. Like, these players don't have experience on the international level. You needed a Mary Earps there.
I'm so glad you've been listening because this is... I'm so glad we're all on the same page here.
Okay, great. We're all on the same page about this. Fantastic. Anyway, Merps returns to Old Trafford. Yeah. First Women's Champions League to be played at Old Trafford, by the way.
Historic moment. We did get onto this topic because we were talking about the NWSL final. So let's run it all the way back.
Run it back for an hour
Who
ago.
do you think is going to win?
And now a message from McAfee.
Your package couldn't be delivered.
You owe thousands in unpaid tolls.
You want a free gift.
If texts like these sound familiar, McAfee can help. McAfee automatically identifies text and email scams as well as AI-generated audio to help you stay safe. If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
From writer-director Ryan Johnson.
The Holy Grail. A perfectly impossible crime.
Wake Up Dead Man has critics singing its praises.
God help me. Anything else?
It's a deliciously entertaining mystery.
That's nice.
It's certified fresh.
It's a miracle.
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
It's the best Knives Out movie yet.
This case is solvable, right?
Oh, you'll see. It's fun.
Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig. Now played in select theaters on Netflix December 12th, rated PG-13.
Every leap in American history has needed breakthrough energy.
Ignition, liftoff.
Now, AI is here, and Chevron is working to power it. We're aiming to develop multi-gigawatt power plants near data centers, designed with future pathways to lower carbon intensity. AI gets the power it needs, communities get the jobs, and the grid stays strong. Powering AI today builds America's next superpower.
And why? Let's talk England Lionesses. They honored Fran Kirby, and it feels like, speaking of finding your squad, Millie Bright is moving along. Fran Kirby, we know, is moving along. Mary Earps, we know, has moved along. Lucy Bronze will probably play till she's 80. She seems to be chugging along just fine over there on the right side of the pitch. Still running 120-yard sprints over there, creating chances on the run. At, I don't even know what age she is, because it doesn't matter because she's timeless. But nevertheless, England have two matches in this international window. The first against China, the second against Ghana. We're going to talk about the first one against China. It was an 8-0 victory at Wembley. So much to say. I don't know. We have to get the negative out of the way first, Amy, because you are in the United States. You were not home when the game happened. And then you went to just go watch the ladies play, and nothing.
Nothing. Not happening. No full game replays anywhere. Couldn't find it. Had a nightmare with a VPN trying to get that. Okay. I've still been trying to do it today to try and get the VPN working. It's not ideal. I mean, I know I'm in a different country. I know that England is not the priority, but at least have a full game replay like that. I looked on Paramount Plus and I was like, they've got all these rubbish men's games that are on replay that no one cares about, but you won't put this one on replay. It doesn't cost you anything to put it on replay. Anyway,
even on YouTube. And I'm happy it needed to happen because we're at the stage, I would have hoped in women's soccer that an international friendly we could watch. But so I guess not. One that was at Wembley nonetheless. We know they have cameras there. Okay, anyways. It was 8-0. It was a Stanway hat trick as well. Georgia Stanway is back. I love her so much, truly. She makes her presence known. And okay. First goal was Beth Mead. Immediately, I was like, this is interesting because I looked at the starting lineup and I was like, why is Beth Mead in the starting lineup? And then she scores the first goal.
Yeah, that made me eat my words massively because she scored the first and the second goal, I think, right? Like, I mean, yeah, why is Beth Mead starting? Oh, okay, that's why Beth Mead's starting. Okay, clearly wrong. I was wrong. Take it back. Beth Mead starting. Good decision, Serena. Well done. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Your other question was around Jess Park, though, which I find to be a fair question. But I guess with the Beth Mead of it all, maybe we understand it more now.
Yeah, but then I mean, with the Beth Mead of it all, but I think who do you take out of the midfield? Because Stanway, Walsh, and Toon. But Toon and Park play so well together. So then it obviously is Mead that comes out, right? But Park isn't typically that player who'll hang out on the right side either. She's been very licensed to roam for Man United, do as you please, take the ball, do what you want. And it's been very successful because she's been able to break the lines by dribbling through players and just creating lots of chaos because of the close control that she has. So although Beth Mead did score 2 goals, I'm not taking that away from her, I would love to have seen Jess Park start this game just because she's been on a better run of form than Beth Mead, you have to say. I mean, for Arsenal have been very poor for me this season, and I think that it's Serena's reliance on the old guard which has gotten her the trophies, and that's fair enough, totally fair. But I'd like to have seen Jess Park start this game because it's a friendly and it's a chance to see her start a game, and she warrants a start because of her form for Man United, who have just qualified for the knockout stages of the Champions League, FYI. And not, in no small part, thank you to Jess Park, who has been a revelation at Man United. So yeah, that would be my only sort of, if I'm going to pick holes in an 8-0 performance, I'm going to just say maybe.
Yeah. We're not here to necessarily just to have a chat about the squad. Yeah. I do think she'll probably start against Ghana. She did come in for Beth Mead. There were a lot of subs. Chloe Kelly came in for Lauren Hemp. There were a lot of substitutions that really showed just how Serena feels about who's battling for what position. Obviously, I mentioned just Park came in for Mead. Kelly came in for Hemp. Aggie Beaver-Jones came in for Alessio Russo. I love to see Kendall came in for Walsh. That was fun to see. Hines came in for Bronze. That was really great to see.
She really rates Kendall as well. She really does. She's rates her highly as a young player. And Walsh is also not getting any younger. But she's been such a top quality centre mid for so long. It's good to bring in those young players and give them a feel for this international level, and I think this was a good game for her to rotate. And we have such a strong attacking lineup. England does, so does the US. I think that we're spoilt for choice in that area. We're still missing Lauren James. When Lauren James comes back fully, that's scary, right? You've got Jess Park and Lauren James who can unlock defenses. You've got different types of players. You've got Alessia Russo, who's probably one of the best centre forwards in the game right now.
Playing the best soccer we've seen her play ever.
Yeah, and she didn't score until the very, very the end of the game, which she did everything but score, and then she finally got her goal. So, but for all of the attacking talk, I mean, this game wasn't exactly one where England were tested at the back, but this back four is something that people have been asking for a while. These players playing in these positions. So obviously Lucy Bronze at right back. Well, did My Letizia just did an interview, I think, was it BBC she did an interview with, or someone she did, I think it was BBC, and it was a whole thing where she was walking her dog and they were doing an interview, and it was so how do you feel about playing out of position? And it was she was well, obviously I prefer to play in my position, but she said it was a challenge for her to play a right back, which is what people say, right? Who are uncomfortable in playing in other positions, which is fine, but you do it for your country and you do it for your team as well. If Mark Skinner said to her, you got to play it right back today, she'd be fine, I'm the captain of this club, I'll do whatever, Yeah,
it was it's a nice way of saying, if you're wondering why I haven't been playing well, it's because I feel wildly uncomfortable in this role, and I would really enjoy playing in a position that I feel comfortable in. But I'll do anything for the team.
So I think that next to Esme Morgan, I mean, I don't think Esme Morgan would be my first choice centre back. I think when Leah Williamson comes back, she's obviously my first choice centre back. But then you have the conundrum of Letizia and Williamson. Can they play together? Because they both want to play on that right side. So one of them has to play on the left side. And I think Williamson can play on the left side. I really do. I think as a football player, she's like a Rolls Royce player. You can play there. Just play her there. She'll be fine. I don't mind Esme Morgan. I think she's a good player as well in her own right. I don't think they had much to do though, to be honest, to really say this back four was tested heavily, and then obviously Neem Charles at left back. Why not? Why not? I like her. I think she's a good player.
Yeah, and the left back role of all of the roles in international world, it's just, you put somebody there and you see what happens. I like it. And I think when Leah Williamson returns, she's the captain. She'll rightfully slot back in. I agree. I mean, some people make a big deal about like, oh, I play left center back, I play right center back. For me, even playing left back or right back, it's like, okay, well, this is the same position. It's more just learning how to work with a different pairing. So like, are you used to playing right center back and playing next to Lucy Bronze? You're going to have to get used to playing left center back and playing alongside Niamh Charles. Like, we're good. We'll be fine there. Stanway, I'll never stop singing her praises. It all works when Georgia Stanway is there, and it all falls apart when she's not. Because in my opinion, like the way that we don't really have a backup left back, what happens if Real goes down? What happens when Georgia Stanway goes down? Now we're back into this question of like, okay, well, can it be Grace Clinton? But Grace Clinton doesn't seem to play very well with Ella Toone. So then what do we do there? And it kind of spins the Lionesses into a frenzy. Georgia Stanway is the answer. She's the answer that unlocks Kira Walsh as well, because you have to respect Georgia Stanway in every regard, offensively, defensively, and she covers so much ground and she plays well with everybody around her. So for me, I will always just say that she really is the glue in this team, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, she's steely. She gives you bite in the middle. She gives you goals. She's your penalty taker, which is important. She had 3 goals, 1 assist. Ella Toone had 3 assists and 1 goal. So like between the two of them, they've obviously worked well together there. And I think that when England plays well and they score first, you see what happens, right? The floodgates just open. Now, we got to talk about China because they're horrific.
Yeah. I don't think there's much else to say, to be honest, though.
But what is going on? Like, I mean, here's what typified China's performance. Ella Toone's goal. What are you doing? Why are you playing short out of the back? You're getting battered. You're getting absolutely battered. Do not play short out of the back to your goalkeeper like that. What are you doing? I mean, it made the goalkeeper look terrible, but it was terrible ball back to the goalkeeper in the first place. It's like, come on now. Just do the simple things. Don't play yourself into trouble. Get it out. Just get it out. I mean, I'm a fan of playing out from the back, but this team can't play out of the back.
No. And I'm a fan of like doing what you do best and sticking to your guns to try to win a game, but not when you're down by 6, 7, 8 goals. No, so it's not working. You got to change. You got to change it up at that point. Also, China came out in a low block. I think it was a 5-4-1. We are not playing out of the back in a 5-4-1. That is a counter-attack formation. That is not a we play out of the back formation. So it doesn't work. So I certainly hope that they change something, whether it's the formation or just playing out of the back of it all.
I feel like we have these discussions around China quite frequently, but I don't understand what happened to them. They're like a powerhouse in football. They were a women's powerhouse, and it's sad because there was so much money invested into Chinese men's football specifically, and their league there in China, the men's league. They were paying players like extortionate amounts of money to come over and play in their league, and they weren't investing money into their women's program at that point, and they're still not. It's clear they're like, come on, there's no way. I mean, when I look at Japan now, and I look at them as an Asian nation, right, and I look at the difference between Japan and China and where they are in women's football. Japan is a country that is really investing in their women's team, and you can see it. They're a good. The Japan women's team are a good team, a very good team. China are so far away.
Yeah, they've fallen and just continued to kind of free fall massively. For those who don't remember, China was the team that the United States played at the 1999 World Cup. Like, Brandi Chastain scoring that penalty kick, taking her shirt off the sports bra, that was against China. Like, China were the powerhouse. That was United States kind of like dethroning a powerhouse. That's part of what made 99 so special. And since then, really, it's just been a steady decline, which is a bummer. I mean, there's been a lot of talent that goes over there. We know Barbara Banda played club over there, but for whatever talent goes, there's just no investment in the domestic league whatsoever. It's second, if not third tier at this point. All right, my final things on England, a couple. Number one, I guess I just is more me wanting to say I'm loving the youth that has been brought in. Taylor Hines, we've talked about Hines, Kendall, Reed got a call up, Godfrey got her first call up. I hope we get to see her against Ghana. We didn't see her against China. Do we want to talk? People are making a big deal. Kiara Keating, by the way, got her debut, which is wild to say because she's been called up a lot, but she got her debut in the previous window. She left for an injury. Ellie Roebuck has now come in. So in terms of goalkeepers now in this squad for this international break, it's obviously Morehouse who started, and then Ellie Roebuck. And Bagley, yes. I was like, who's the third? Who do you think's going to get the start against Ghana? And how did you rate? I mean, I guess Morehouse really didn't have that much to do. Kind of lumping her in with the back line, hard to really say.
Morehouse had the most unproductive debut of any player that probably has ever stepped foot into Wembley Stadium. Like, I'm sure she probably didn't touch the ball. It was, but nevertheless, it was a debut, right? It's an England debut. I think she should start against Ghana because Ghana's going to be a totally different challenge for England. It's going to be physical. It's going to be pacey. It's going to be similar to a couple of the friendlies we've played where we've looked a little out of sorts against African nations, and we looked at, against Nigeria in the World Cup. We certainly looked out of sorts because when they come with that energy and the physicality and they shut us down, that's when we struggle to play. So, I'm interested to see this game and see what happens. To be honest, I think it's totally different challenge, obviously, from China. I mean, anything's better than playing against China, I'm sure. This is like a friendly that the US organizes. This is what it felt like to me, when they just bring in anybody to play against.
We got some good competition against Italy, and you guys got to batter a team.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything for anybody, though. This game was just it proved that we beat them 6-1 in the World Cup in 2023. They've come nowhere since then. They've become even worse, apparently. So I don't know why we thought this would be a good friendly for us. It's a nothing game.
Yeah. Well, when you're scheduling friendlies, you want to strike a balance. You don't want to just schedule friendlies and just get beat the whole time, because then you go into tournaments feeling no confidence, no self-esteem or anything. But then you don't want it to swing the other direction where you only play teams where you beat them and then there's no test. You can't tell where there's like maybe a chink in the armor. So everything's a balance. So, I mean, coming off, you guys have scheduled a lot of hard friendlies back to back to back. You're going into what's going to be a massively hard qualifier. So, I don't know. I know it's not great for the game, but like, it's not, I understand it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather play Brazil every week and find out that you've got weaknesses and get beaten by them than win 8-0. But I understand that there's obviously a little bit of, it's a home crowd and it was a sellout, which was really nice. Also, let's talk about the crowd, because the crowd in Orlando was very disappointing. Again, like, what is going on?
Listen, Orlando fans, I say this with all of the love. I love you. I love the team. I think Orlando fans are some of the most dedicated fans in the world. And there's just not enough of them. There's just not enough. I think that they actually got put on blast at some point during the playoffs, at one of the playoff games that they were hosting, because it was not well attended. And I think that the commentators were like, yeah, something needs to be done about this. I don't know the intricacies of where this stadium is in regards to like public transportation, whatever. It could be a New York Red Bull Arena or Sports Illustrated, whatever the hell we call it now. The attendance was almost 15,000. It just didn't feel like it. When you were watching the game, it felt really...
15,000 though, like...
Yeah. Well, I know when you compare that to Wembley, it's like, that's not good enough.
Well, it's sold out. I mean, I know there was some empty seats at Wembley, but it's probably close to 80,000 people there for a friendly against China. Like, but you are supposed to be the premier team in the world, if you will. But I know you're not right now, but like, you are supposed to be that nation that everybody else has built upon their programs. And it's like, okay, well, why is there only 15,000 people going to games now? There's a problem. That's a problem. It's a problem.
Here's my best guess. My best guess is in a year and a half, when it's a send-off series and they're setting the team up to the World Cup, a lot of fans are going to check back in to what's going on. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying I do think that is part of the like soccer cycle in this country for a lot of people. You have your hardcore fans. Thank you, listeners, because you are some of them. And then the numbers drop off. Like, it's not a soccer nation like England is. It's just not. Like, people who will watch the NWSL, I'm sure the people who watch the NWSL will watch the US Women's National Team year-round. And I don't think that there's a lot of people that will just watch the US Women's National Team year-round. Period, the end. I think that the women's soccer contingent is the women's soccer contingent. They'll follow the NWSL. They'll follow the US Women's National Team. But it's not enough of them to fill an 80,000-person stadium in Orlando. That's my guess. But I'm curious, too.
They used to be, though, no?
For a random friendly on a Thanksgiving week? I don't know if there ever has been.
I don't know about this friendly on a Thanksgiving week, though. That's kind of stupid. But also, like, I don't think this is an isolated incident. I'll say that. I don't think it's just to do with this. I think that there's an issue behind when the US stopped being as successful as they were, people stopped going. And that's a problem because then you'll have your fair weather fans will pop back up again in a couple of years' time or whatever, maybe 5 or 6 years' time when the US is successful again, maybe.
I agree. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, we're not a soccer country like England. Like, I really do think that there's a lot of fans that participate based on the World Cup cycle. That's my guess, though. I don't know. And I think you're right that it's a problem. And, like, why isn't it growing? The NWSL attendance rate's growing year after year. Why isn't the U.S. Women's National Team attendance rate growing year after year?
I think that to me is the biggest problem. It shouldn't shrink. Should be maintained like consistently because England's has boomed, right? There wasn't a point where England went, okay, we're at 90,000, we're dropping, we're going back up to 90,000. It was started here and it's just continued to elevate. And obviously there'll be a plateau and that's fine. As long as it's plateau and staying, I'm happy with that. But the US seems to have gone from the down and I don't know.
I'd be curious to like look back at the attendance records and genuinely see like on off years on like in the year 2017, was there actually, so that would be splitting the two back-to-back World Cups. Was there actually high attendance? I wouldn't necessarily think that there was. Like I don't know if it's dropped in like an overall people don't care anymore, or if it's just dropped in terms of this is where we are in the cycle.
There should be some sort of study done on the 1990, 2000s, and then up from there. What's happened?
You know what? This might be my project. I like an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm curious, and I want the trends.
There you go. Figure it out, and you can come back next week and tell us all.
On a quick Google, the highest attendance in 2017 was 17,960. That's the highest attended match in 2017.
Well, 2017 wasn't exactly the pinnacle of US women's soccer, was it? Type in what, like, you know, the 99ers, that generation. You
can't look at the attendance coming off of a World Cup and then compare that to like a year like 2025 where
it wasn't even coming off of a World Cup. I feel like consistently for 10 years, maybe more, that there was good attendance. There was sold out stadiums, and like granted the stadium in the US is smaller, soccer stadium is smaller than typically the stadium in England, but there's big stadiums too. There's big stadiums in this country that have American football that they've played at and sold out plenty of times.
I'm gonna find the trends. I can't speak anymore without finding the trends, but my guess is that they are going to heavily trend with on and off years in terms of the World Cup. All right. That's all we have time for today, everybody. But come back next week. We are talking WSL. We are talking Champions League. It is the final 2 legs in Champions League of, what are we calling this? The group stages, of course. The group stages in this new format. And there's some great games, and we'll discuss them all. And maybe Amy will do us a favor and come and join and chat about United. We would love that. All right. And that's it for us, everybody, here at the Women's Soccer Show. I've been Sara.
I've been Amy.
Thanks, everybody.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.